We're going to start out today with our leaf cane already made. It's been resting. This is a purple and white version of a cane that I made in my first tutorial, which is a red and green version. The only difference is that I put a white layer around the outside and it gives a beautiful edge on the leaf. I've only done it in the light color. I haven't tried it in a darker color yet, but I really like the effect. So anyway, if you'd like to learn how to make this cane, I'm going to link you at the end to my first tutorial where I made the red and green cane like this. If you can figure that out, you can get that white layer around the outside yet, and you'll be ready to go. So what we're going to do is take our cane, it's ready to go. We're going to cut 16 slices off of this and get them ready for shaping. Once you have all your slices cut, we're going to do what we do to all our slices. We're going to round these edges off. I've already started on some over here. When you first cut these, you'll see nice sharp blade marks. What we're going to do is push against that edge a little bit all the way around. See, I'm not pressing hard, I'm not thinning the edge. I'm just gently leaning on that 90-degree edge. See how it's softening? I just want that soft look. Succulents always look fat and round and juicy. So we're going to do that to all of these leaves. And the reason I do all of them at once is I like to let all my pieces rest in between each step. See, right now I've been messing with this and it's sticky and tacky and very bendy because I've been manipulating it. But these have been sitting here for a while and look, not so sticky, easy to handle, and not near as bendy. So everything's easier to shape and handle, and you don't leave as many fingerprints, big deep fingerprints all over your work if you let everything rest. So that's why I shape everything all at once. So I'm going to go ahead and round the rest of these in the first step of our pre-shaping, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so we have our 16 pieces with our rounded edges. Now, we have another shaping technique. We're going to take a bevel tool. If you don't have one of these, anything with a nice bevel on it will do. I like this one. The ball at the end makes a nice little indent that helps with the curve of my leaves. So what I'm going to do is each layer of our plant needs shape differently. So I'm going to show you how to shape each layer, and I'm going to shape each of them and leave them laid out to rest. So what we're going to do is do the bottom layer first. Now this is a technique that I've done in the tutorial that I'll link up with you at the end, but I'm going to quickly go over it again. You line up your point and your ball end on your finger. I'm going to lean towards the top. I don't want to cut it in half. I'm going to roll on the bottom a little. I'm barely touching the middle. This is tricky. I want to peel it off gently. Sometimes, look, a little bit in half. I have a cut. That looks nasty. Don't give up. So we're going to coax the tip together. See that? Now you never know. And then I'm just going to push. I'm squeezing along this fold. I'm not making a crease. Just pushing that beveled edge in on side itself. Now this is for my bottom layer, so I don't want to crunch these too close at the bottom. Same thing, I'll show you one more time with this one. Towards the top, roll, push on that ball at the bottom, kind of skip the middle, just give it the once over. Peel it off gently. Almost fold it in half. And I just go up here and I start to coax those edges together. Everything is very gentle, everything is very pushing. Once you get a point that you like on there, and I want to go along this edge again, and I just want to push the crease, pushing it just a little to make that trough. I don't want to push too far. So I'm going to do each of that row exactly the same. Same thing, shape it, let it rest. Okay, this next layer is going to be the middle of our plant. And in my opinion, this is the layer that really makes the plant pop. We're going to start out the same way we did as the row above, with the same technique I use often. Take the bevel tool, put it towards the tip, line it up, roll, push on that ball, press on the tip, not so much the middle. We're going to peel it off gently, and we're going to start the shape the same way. Finesse that tip together, bring it to a point, fidget with it till it feels good. We're going to push on that middle this time, and while we're pushing on the middle, we're going to bend our fingers together. I'm going to start to make an arch. Don't want to squeeze this together until it sticks. No, don't stick. Okay. Now, just going to tap. See the curve? All right. Let's do another one. Lay it on your finger. Line up that tip. Press a little. Skip the middle. Roll it. Press on that bottom. This takes practice. I recommend practicing with plain canes. Nothing fancy, nothing. You can roll it back into a ball and start over if you mess it up. It takes a lot of practice to get to this point. Alright, so we squeezed it into the trough. We don't want to squeeze it tight together. Just see how I'm tapping? Just tapping. Not pressing, not squeezing. Almost like a little Venus flytrap shape. The important part is that arch. So go ahead and arch the rest of your middle row. Okay, we've arched that middle row. As you can see, none of this is perfect. You can always fidget with it more if you want to, but they're fairly consistent. Not enough to be perfect, but Mother Nature isn't perfect. As you can see, everything's slightly wonky, and in the end, when you put it all together, the lack of perfection coupled with the symmetry is what fools your eye into the illusion of, oh, that's a real plant. Alright, for this last row of 5, these are going to be our centers. We're going to start out same way we did each of these leaves. Line up that bevel tool, rock it to the top, rock it to the bottom. Looks ugly sometimes, don't worry about it. Not right in the middle, don't worry about it. Just push that edge together. Now these are going to head and push pretty good. They're going to be fairly tight at the top. So this first row we left it pretty wide. This one, we're going to squeeze them all pretty tight together for that center. I'll do one more. Tip went a little wonky there. It's come undone. I've about cut it in half. Little squeeze. It's nice and warm from playing with it. Pull that tip. Squeeze that trough from the outside. Notice I'm not making a crease really, just a rounded edge, nice and skinny. Go ahead and do that to the rest of these, and then I'll show you the center. This last oddball, number 16, once again, we're going to start the way we always do. Put that bevel tip in, rock that edge, make a little scoring line in there, pull it off, coax that tip together. Except this time, we're going to curl this edge in, and we're going to wrap the other edge around it. Make a cup shape. Okay? I'm not going to worry about trimming this off yet. I'm just going to leave this on here. Set this aside. At this point, it's time for a build. We're going to grab a piece of wax paper and a scrap that we've cut out. To work on. I just use a little circle tool, cut a scrap of mushy gray clay out, and we're ready to go. So get yourself something to build on. Any little scrap will do. A circle works best. Alright, everything's been pre-shaped. I've let it rest. Letting it rest is important. Everything keeps its curl, holds its shape better. This time, when I build, I'm going to use one of these ball-ended tools. I don't know what these are called. It's standard clay tool. I'm using a size that fits in the cup of my leaf, about like that. And I'm going to use it to attach these to the base. So I'm going to go up here to my fairly flat ones. And what I'm going to do is lay these out. I'm not going to attach them yet, because attaching them is forever. I'm going to make a star formation of 5 around the edge of my circle. And I'm not anchoring them down yet because I want to see the spacing and the placement. I want to try and get them about as evenly spaced on there as I can. It's worth taking the extra time to finesse this. This leaf arrangement is part of what creates the illusion of real. So it's important to get it right. When I feel like I have a fairly evenly formed star, I'm going to start here. And I'm just going to push the front edge of that into my scrap clay. See what I've done? It lifted it up off the table a little. Just roll that front edge down onto there. Now we have our first one attached. And what I want to do is go around. This is why I put it on this wax paper. See how I can spin this? Same thing, just roll it down the front edge. Keep attaching these in the star formation that you have out. We're not standing them up too far, I just want them to come off the base. See how that stands up there? Get that centered better. I'm still new at this tutorial stuff. As you can see the spacing to here? Try and keep that even. Just press down on the front. Mash that in there good. Last one. Look at that leaf spacing. Eyeball it. Looks good. Put it down. And there we have the first layer of our plant. Now it's time for the layer that we curved, the second layer. Remember the ones that we put our arch in? What we want to do is we have this star, and now there's the gaps in between the points. We want this next layer to land in the gap and curve out around in between the layer we already have. So this one's not as hard. We have a starting point with our base layer. I know that the next one needs to go here. So I'm going to set it down in front of that first layer. I'm barely hanging on to it. You have to touch everything ever so gently. Now we want this one standing up just a little higher. So I'm going to stand it up, push on that front edge. See that? And we're putting this layer just a little bit to the front of those other smushy layers, so it's making a second inner ring. Just curve out in the gaps between the star. It's almost a beautiful little place, the size of your tool right there to set it. Aim. Now see how each of these is overlapping the next one? This edge covers this edge. This edge covers the one before it. This edge covers the one before it. It's a whirl pattern. I'm going to follow that in this layer and the next one. It's another one of the tricks that makes your eye believe the plant is real. Build it the way Mother Nature would. It's called a whirl, and succulents often grow in a whirl. When you get to the first one, I want this edge over the one before it, and I want it under the first one. This takes a little finessing. So, I want it over this one, under the one before it. Almost. Look at me trying to show you how to do it. As you can see, this is tricky. There we go. Now we have our whirl pattern in the middle. We have one more row that we're going to sit in there, and it'll be standing almost straight up. Same thing.